But this is to go over the Southwest Enterprise Zone Business Tax Credit. I called it a training. It's more of an info session. I will say this right away, as the city of Cortez, we have nothing to do with enterprise zone tax credits. That is Region 9, and I'll talk a little bit more about Region 9 in a little bit. But any specific questions, you should go to them. I'm happy to help connect. But I really wanted to give this training because I think a lot of our businesses are not taking this opportunity, and it could save us literally thousands of dollars, potentially millions. And learning how to use presenter mode is always fun. All right, so this is our plan for the little session today. So number one, discussing what is an enterprise zone, talking about Region 9 economic development's role in the enterprise zone, maps of the enterprise zone areas, which will be now forever known as EZ, enterprise zone. Talking a little bit about the available tax credits to you, how to get pre-certification, how to certify those tax credits. Then we'll have a very brief overview of contribution projects. So in the enterprise zone, there's kind of two realms of enterprise zone elements. So there's a business tax credit element, which is really what this training is about. But then there's also an element that you can get tax credit or income tax credits as an individual by donating to specific charitable nonprofit charities in the enterprise zone area. So I just briefly go over that, but this is more about the businesses. So what is an enterprise zone? This is and I will post this online. I will also post the presentation, so take notes that you want, but you will have access to this later. So this is a state-run program in the state of Colorado, and it is designed to encourage economic development in economically distressed areas. It offers state income tax credits, and it is geographic. The geographic designation is based on 5 criteria: unemployment, low per capita income, and slow population growth. They designate enterprise zones every couple years. So we in Montezuma County are a designated enterprise zone through the year end of 2024. So they are redesignating enterprise zones at the end of this year. Looking at our data, I would expect that we will be in an enterprise zone in the next designation, but it's never guaranteed. So there's this extra special thing called an enhanced rural enterprise zone, which all of Montezuma County is. And basically what that means is that you get even better tax credits and even better incentives because we are extra poor and extra rural. And this is the one that might change. So we are designated, like I said, as an enhanced enterprise zone through the end of this year. When they redesignate us, it is highly likely we will be an enterprise zone, but the enhanced portion of it might change. So just something to know that we might lose some of our tax credits at the end of this year. So take advantage of them now. Like I said, when I was looking at these designations, our unemployment rate is more than 50% of the state. Our population growth is actually, recent population growth is at about on par with state. We're growing at about 1.2% per year in the last couple of years. Our per capita income is definitely less than 75% of the state. And our population is obviously greater than 5,000. We only need to meet 2 of that criteria to be an enhanced rural enterprise zone. So it's possible we'll still be at the end of 2024, but just so you know, that might change. No questions in the chat. So what does Region 9 do? So they are one of 14 administrators of enterprise zone through the state. They certify that your business is in the enterprise zone, and we'll talk more about that later. But basically, to get these tax credits, you first need to apply to Region 9 through this little portal that says, hello, I am Min, and I own Min Tea. And yes, my business is located in the enterprise zone. Ta-da! And all they do is they check Min, they check his address, and they say, yes, you are. Then you are pre-certified. So that's their job. At the end of the year, you've saved all your receipts, you have all your tax credits, you go with your accountant, you put them in. Region 9 again will look at your tax credits and say, yes, this counts, or no, it doesn't. I don't know how they do that, but they do it somehow. I think they have their own accountants and different things. They promote the program, they track eligibility, and they designate our enterprise zone goals. So this is a map of all the enterprise zones in Colorado. You'll see a lot of Colorado actually meets those zone requirements. The little like kind of X'd out boxes are enhanced zones. So you can see Moffett County and Montezuma and Dolores are all enhanced enterprise zones. You'll also see that our friends in La Plata are in an enterprise zone, but not all of La Plata. So a lot of Durango proper is outside of the enterprise zone, but in some of those outlying counties, they do count for an enterprise zone, but you don't see the checked out boxes, so they are not enhanced. Sorry about that. This is Montezuma County, or no, this is Region 9's enterprise zone. So everything in green is considered an enterprise zone. These are the places that Region 9 deals with. Again, this Durango proper and parts of La Plata and our, where's the ghost section? Help me out. Archuleta, thank you. I was gonna say Archibald County. Archuleta County are not enterprise zones. So this is us, and these boxes, so you can see that they've broken up Montezuma County into census tracts. So these like 9411001. I don't know how that works, but it's federal stuff, census tract stuff. And you can see that, is that census tract 5,000 people or less? What's the population growth like? So you can see in some of these census tracts, it doesn't meet all 5 categories for an enhanced enterprise zone, but you just need to meet 2. So as long as we have 2 green checks at the end of this year, we would still be considered an enhanced enterprise zone, which is why I caution you that this might all change in a year. This enterprise zone, Toyac area, very well will likely be an enhanced enterprise zone. If Cortez has grown in population and prosperity, that section might not be. In my calculations, it looks like we will, but again, that's just me sitting on my calculator with a computer, so this all might change, but. So this is a small list of tax credits that we are gonna go over together. This is online, and again, I will post this presentation. The ones that are most interesting to me are the top 3 or top 4. Investment tax credit. Any depreciable good that you buy, a computer, shoes that are specifically for your job, all of that can get you a tax credit. Job training tax credit. If you send yourself or your employees to a training, you can get 12% back on those. If you join a webinar, that counts as job training. It does not count, and we'll talk more about this, for on-the-job training. So if you're teaching your employees how to do their job, that doesn't count, but if you're sending them, it does.
So you need to like keep like an invoice or something like that?
I think you need to keep an invoice, and we'll talk more about that. Yeah, I'll show you. Commercial vehicle investment tax credit. This one is usually more for fleets of vehicles. If you buy a work car, if you buy a truck just for your office that you're gonna use for your job, I would put it under that investment tax credit and get 3% back instead of the 1.5. And then this new employee credit is really important. We'll talk about that. I put these other things on there. If you are rehabbing a vacant building, that might help. If you are going to have health insurance for your employees, check out that enterprise zone. No one in Region 9 has yet to use the sales and use tax exemption. It's very specific, but I'll tell you about it as well. All right. So I'm gonna go through these one at a time. The investment tax credit, to me, is the most interesting because we buy depreciable goods all the time. So, and depreciable, of course, means property that diminishes in value. So you buy a computer, 3 years later, it's not as good as it was when you first bought it, right? You get 3% back on that. Yes, you do need to keep those receipts, keep that invoices. It also includes single purpose agricultural structures. So this is enterprise zones are not only for our businesses, they are also for our farmers and ranchers. So tell your farmers and ranchers friends that if they are registered under the enterprise zone with Region 9, they can get money back on that ag equipment. It also includes oil pipelines and breeding livestock. We're not sure if chickens count as breeding livestock. I don't know. But if you had a chicken farm, you could probably argue that it was, but I don't know your backyard chickens would count. You cannot use the investment tax credit on air conditioning, heating units, certain types of boilers, used equipment over $150,000. and leased used equipment. So if you are leasing equipment, that counts for this income tax, but if it's used and you're leasing it, it won't count. Does that make sense? You guys will be fine because we're in Montezuma County, but if you buy a car for your business and claim it under the investment tax credit, that vehicle does need to be housed predominantly and used predominantly in the enterprise zone. We're all Montezuma County is an enterprise zone, shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, we'll talk about the building. Actually, the building rehab has to be commercial. Evan, I saw that question, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So the commercial vehicle income tax credit is a 1.5%, which is why if you buy one car for your business and it's going to be used only as your business car, I would put it under the investment tax credit. 3% is more than 1.5. However, I think the reason for this is if you are buying a fleet of vehicles, I'm not sure you can count every car. So you can use this you can use this tax credit. The vehicles do need to be licensed and registered in the state of Colorado, and again, predominantly housed and based in the enterprise zone. Also, as business owners, your accountant should be able to do all of this for you. A lot of our accountants don't know that the enterprise zone is an option. Some of them do. But some of them don't. So just double check, teach your accountant. Then by teaching your accountant, you can help them help everyone. So the job training tax credit is really cool. You can give 12% back for any job training expenses. Again, this is not employer to employee training, so it's not on the job training. This is how you use your cash register. This is how you make the food. That doesn't count. It includes, to qualify for job training credit, the business either has to bring in a specialized trainer or send yourself or an employee to a specialized training. So maybe you're having a specialized health training. You're like, you know what? I really want to bring someone in to really teach us how to sanitize and make sure everything is clean and healthy. That counts. So any type of airfare, hotel, or class fee. So say you go to Denver and you spend a couple nights in a hotel and you're going to a specialized training, save those receipts, that could all count. If you bring someone in, save those receipts. If they're staying in a hotel, that could count. If you're paying them, that will count for that trainer. And this does carry forward for 12 years. So it's a nice, maybe I should just stay over here. So the new employee tax credit is another really cool thing. I'll say this right off the bat, it does count for yourself if you're paying yourself a salary. So if you as the business owner are just running the business and there's no way to track your earnings because all of this needs to be tracked, then it won't count. But if you are paying yourself a regular salary and you are full-time, it would count towards this tax credit. So the way this works is in an enhanced enterprise zone, you get potentially $3,100 per new employee back in income tax, right? So and I like pointing at things, in the enterprise zone, every new employee you hire or every new position you create, it's kind of confusing, you get $1,100 back. Enhanced enterprise zones gets an additional $2,000 per employee, which adds up to $3,100. If you are an agricultural, manufacturing, or processing business and you hire a new employee, you get on top of that $3,100 another $500. Yes.
So let's say I just hire hourly employees and I want to bump them up to a salary. Would that be under?
So actually, hourly counts.
Hourly, okay.
So the way this works is it's the full-time equivalent positions. So say, the first year of and it counts after a year of keeping them. So you have to prove a year of salary wages. So let's say you open your business and you're open for a full year and you're paying yourself a salary but you're the only full-time employee. Maybe you hire a part-time employee, but it's really, you're the only one that's full-time. At the end of that year, you've proved you've worked for a year, yeah. You can count one person. So you'll get that 31 back for your. So say now we're in year 2 of our business and you're like, wow, I'm really doing really well. You hire another full-time employee. You can't claim the credit, but they work with you for a full year and you prove that they've been working. Now you have 2, so you get to claim, you don't get to claim yourself because you've already claimed yourself, but you get to claim that new position. Year 3 of your business. The person you hired moves to Africa. And you're like, oh, bummer, but you rehire, you have a new position, but you still just have those 2 full-time employees. That second employee is a new person, but it's not a new position, so it can't count for that new position. So it's every new position you create. So say you have 5 employees, we go through a recession, you have to fire a couple, whatever happens, happens. And now you only have 3 employees, we get out of the recession, business is going well, you hire back your 2 full-time positions, that still doesn't count. Because the most you've ever had is 5 full-time positions. And again, the rural enterprise zone is trying to encourage economic development, so they want to see that job growth. Part-time employees count. So say you have 2 part-time employees, but they each work 20 hours, that adds up to a full-time employee. So that position combined would count towards that 1 full-time equivalent position, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. It is a 7-year carry forward for the enhanced rural enterprise zone. A 5-year carry forward for this for the regular.
So.
Yeah.
For 20 hours, is that weekly or monthly?
Hold that question.
Oh, okay. What does that mean, carry forward?
I'm not a tax person, but what I think what it means is if you earn the income tax credit and say you're like, but the government owes you money and you don't need to use that income tax credit, you can say, cool, hold it in my little income tax saving credit for the next 7 years until I need to use it. It's nice. They're not transferable. So in other tax situations, maybe you don't need to use your income tax credit, but Charlene does. She could buy it from you for like $500. That's not this, unfortunately. There is some like that, but you can carry forward it to wait for a year that you do need to use that income tax credit. So more about new employees. Like I said, part-time and seasonal employees count, but they must work at least 20 hours at the business. So you can't count a 10-hour employee for 10 hours employees to make up that full-time equivalent. You have to have those 20 hours. So the way seasonal and part-time work is the average number of employees for the year taken by the average employees every month dividing by 12. Whew. So it's complicated, but say you've got a tourism-based business that has 5 employees for 6 months out of the year when they're slow, and they hire 10 in full-time equivalent. Maybe they've got a couple partners, but they hire 10 part-time equivalent or full-time equivalent in the summer. That adds up to 90 total full-time employees all year, divided by 12 is 7.5 employees that count towards that income tax credit. They will be able to claim a new tax credit when they hire an average of 8.5 employees. I know it's super confusing, but does that help for yours?
Well,
Question.
I mean, so it's 20 hours. I mean, is it per week or it's just
Put 20 hours per week would be that per week.
have to work out?
Yeah,
Per week.
per week. Yep.
Okay.
So if you only have a half of, so if you only have 1 part-time person, you couldn't use it until you had 2.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, you gotta have 2 part-time.
Well, because it has to add up to a full-time equivalent.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah. So you can only count when they're full-time equivalent. The confusing part about part-time is that if you have a part-time working less than 20 hours, they don't count for anything. The way the law reads. Again, I'm not a lawyer and I am not a tax person. I cannot advise on specific situations, but that is my understanding. So I know less about this, and this is used less in our small business area, but employer-sponsored health insurance credit is available for only the first 2 full years in the enterprise zone. So if you sign up now and you're not providing healthcare, but you decide to provide healthcare in 3 years, you wouldn't be able to claim this credit because it only counts for the first 2 years that you were in the enterprise zone. I, on the side, own a small business as well as my job here at the city. And I personally just decided like, I'll figure out health insurance when I figure out health insurance. I'd rather get the tax credits now. And maybe the state will come out with something else in a couple of years. But if you pay at least 50% of your health insurance costs for your employees, you will get $1,000 back per covered employee. And it is another carry forward for 5 years. All right, the other exciting one, vacant commercial building rehab. So yes, the building does have to be commercial. From what I understand, if you are rehabbing a vacant building into apartments or something like that, and a short-term rental, that does, from what I understand, don't quote me on this, but that counts as a commercial building, even though there are people living there, because it's a commercial style building where you, the owner of the building, are earning money, it counts as commercial. I think. That's from what, Region 9 and I decided by ourselves the other day. Again, we are not tax professionals, we're not entirely certain about that. So to qualify for this tax credit, the building has to be at least 20 years old, have been completely vacant for at least 2 consecutive years. And that means, sure, it can have stuff in it that's not being used. Just a reminder, everyone online, make sure you're muted. I don't know how to check that. Whoopsies, let me go back. Let me just try to mute somebody. Mute. Mute. Beautiful. All right, so, someone could have been using it to store stuff, but it can't be like someone's using the building to store it in there all the time, like infiltrate, like, yeah, you guys know. It's a vacant building. It's been vacant for 2 consecutive years. Hard cost of rehabilitating the building include, you know, the labor, the nails, any kind of engineering planning or buying of the building won't count. It's the rehab cost of that building. It is limited to $50,000 per building, but hey, that's still $50,000 back on your tax credit. And it's claimed by whoever pays for the rehabilitation. So if you are leasing the building but paying for the rehabilitation, you get the tax credit. So it's whoever's that. So this one's the really specific, strange use tax. Would the CPA know specifically? Oh, about the buildings? Yes, CPAs, accountants, they are there to advise you. They can read and understand tax code in a way that I can't. I'm gonna give you guys, and I'll email everyone at the end of this presentation, a recording and also a link to the landing page that the city has about enterprise zone. Send your accountant there, have them download the documents, have them read the tax code, and then tell you what they find. But yes, I would go to a CPA. So this one's really specific. This is and it's not just the enterprise zone that gets to use this. So basically, if you are a Colorado company and you are manufacturing goods and you need to buy a new machine, and you're gonna buy a machine from another Colorado company, you can call that company and be like, hey, under this thing, this tax code, would you exempt the sales tax on that piece of machinery? And then that company, the Colorado machine making company, has to like sign a document that says they're exempting the sales tax for you, another Colorado company. And then you both turn that form in. So it's this whole long drawn out back and forth process. It could be really useful if you are buying a really big, expensive piece of equipment from, and again, this is the hard part, it has to be a Colorado company. So a lot of our companies here in Colorado that are buying big machinery and big equipment find stuff outside of Colorado for a cheaper cost, so it doesn't make sense to use this use tax exemption, which is why Region 9 has never done any of this yet. So, but it's there. So if you know of a Colorado company buying a piece of machinery for manufacturing from another Colorado company, point them in this direction for the manufacturing, sales, and use tax exemption. Any questions about that one? It's really specific. So now how to enroll. I will usually direct you to Region 9, but if you just want to come into my office and go through the form while you sit there with me, I'm happy to help. Like, we are here to help you. I know government gets to say no a lot to people, which is not very fun. But if you need help filling out a form, I will try. I've done it for my business. It's not super difficult. But sometimes it's better just to go to your CPA. So here's how to enroll. So number one, you pre-certify your business, Region 9 checks and says, yes, you're in the enterprise zone. You conduct your business, and then you, at the end of the year, you certify your tax credit with Region 9. They give you a little piece of paper that says, yes, they get this much off their tax income, and then you do your taxes. The important thing to remember is that you must file electronically to earn income, enterprise zone tax credits. It doesn't matter if you filed paper in the past, but going forward for the enterprise zone, you have to file electronically. Just a weird state rule. So this is what the page looks like on the Colorado website. And then down here in that little bottom corner, you click the apply for, oh, you guys can't see it on there. But in the bottom right, apply for tax credit, and that will take you to the portal. So pre-certification, it is required each year. So even if you registered 2 years ago to be in the enterprise zone, you have to register again. The registration comes open 3 months before the tax year starts. So for most of us, that's in October. If you follow the start of the fiscal year, like July to July or that other one, it would open 3 months before that for you. And pre-certification covers the approval date through the end of the tax year. So if you get pre-approval in October, so say, take myself for instance, I got pre-approval, pre-certified for my business in December of 2023. That will carry forward for the entirety of 2024. Say Charlene gets approval tomorrow. Anything she bought in the January, February, and the first part of March won't count. It counts of that approval going forward, if that makes sense. So if you apply, like I said, it's really easy. Put in the information today, takes a couple days for Region 9 to get approved, then start buying equipment and save those receipts.
So would it be beneficial to, whether you think you're gonna get anything or not, to go ahead and register in case?
Yes. So that's what I did. I run a really small walk-in tour business. I actually don't think I'm gonna get any new equipment this year. I'm not gonna hire any new employees. But I just did it just in case, like maybe I buy a van, who knows?
Right.
Just in case. Yes, I think permanent fence, I mean, I'm always supposed to say, Chuck, I am not a tax professional, but a lot of agricultural equipment counts. Any depreciable good counts. So a permanent fencing, you put that fencing in on your property, in 3 years, it's not as good as it used to be. I think that would count. But yes, definitely check with your tax accountant, your CPA. So here's the information you need to pre-certify for enterprise zone tax credit. Obviously, your business address and contact information. That can be your contact information. It can also be the information of your accountant. Then your tax ID number, the tax year, which is 2024. Your I never know how to say that, NAICS code. And then the tax preparer contact information, which again, can be you, or it can be your tax accountant. Okay, so good question. To take advantage of the credit, the business must have a sufficient profit at the bottom line. And then says that we ag producers are pretty good at minimizing profits. Yes, I completely understand that. Remember about those carry forwards. So maybe you don't need it this year, but maybe you need it in 3 years, right? So I don't think there's a minimum profit, like say you owe $5 in tax credit, maybe you just don't have to pay that $5. So I don't think there's a minimum for the profit. Yeah, but I'm gonna go, you'll see the NAICS code in a minute. A lot of us probably don't know what ours is, but it's pretty easy. So this is the login. If you've never logged in before, you're gonna click, of course, the new user down there below the login button by forgot your password. So click that new user button. And it'll take you to this screen. So you can see that it's asking the name, the title, email. It's gonna go into more information about your organization, sign you up for a portal. think that you can sign, like, have your own login information, and then your tax accountant can have their own login information. Don't quote me on that, because I do my own taxes right now, so I don't remember how to do that. And then you'll get to this. So this page, you can see that there's 4 different state of Colorado initiatives. The top left-hand corner is colored in orange. It's that enterprise zone business tax credits, which is what you will click on to go to pre-certify. There are several other things that you can explore. So if you are a tourism or retail business, maybe check out those tourism programs. There might, every once in a while, there's a small amount of grants or marketing funds, even for our retail and our restaurants. So just check it out. The Job Growth Incentive Tax Credit and Strategic Fund, I don't know what that is, but go explore, see if it counts for you. And then the Enterprise Zone Contribution Projects, those are those nonprofits and charitable organizations I was talking about. You don't need to go in there. So click that Enterprise Zone Tax Credits, and then you start filling out your application. So you can see here, there are two applications at the bottom. One is the Enterprise Zone Pre-Certification, and one is the Enterprise Zone Certification. Pre-certify before you certify, so click that. This is the boring part of the presentation, but I just like to go over it for everyone because everyone's at different places in the room. Again, your accountant can do this for you. So this is what this page looks like. A lot of filling in the bubbles. Is there anything important on here? Taxpayer ID. This and enterprise zones do count for sole proprietorships. So if you have a sole proprietorship, this would count, not just LLCs. And like I said, farms and ranches count. Enterprise zone information, where you're located. And here, this is where we get into the NAICS sector, and they make it very easy for you. So there's a drop-down button. Notice 44 is retail trade, so you'd find yours. And then it takes you to the next slide. And it's a convenience store. So the whole NAICS code is 445120. Sometimes they're a little confusing. The drop-down buttons are super helpful. I know for me, as a walking tour business, I'm actually under the transportation sector. I think it's 52, I don't know. But so drop-downs help. You don't have to know your code. Although once you figure it out, I would write it down. So if you ever need it again, you can get it real quick. All right. More of the application. And then this is the button that after you apply, you can check and make sure everything is correct. And call somebody if it's not. So then you get your, once you are approved by the Region 9, they say, yes, you are good. You can add another business location. So say Minty has 3, one in Durango, one here in Cortez, and one down in Toyota. The one in Durango wouldn't count, obviously, because it's in Durango. It's not an, oh, it is an enterprise zone. It might be an enterprise zone. Yeah, yeah, in the future. But you could add all those business locations, right? All right, so then you need to certify your tax credits. After the tax year, you're going to submit your certification for any and all tax credits earned. So I'll show you well, I guess I can't. In that same portal, once Region 9 has approved your pre-certification, there's a little orange button that says certify. And you click that certify button, and you can actually certify your income tax credits all year long. You can just put those invoices in right away, from what I understand. At the end of the year, you'll have to submit them all for approval. Region 9 checks them, certifies the entries, and then sends confirmation to the business. And you send that confirmation, that certification form in with your state tax returns, which again must be filed electronically. This is what your certification form will look like. So it has all your relevant information at the top, and then it says the tax credits you earned. And the state doesn't care. Region 9 is already certified. They don't care if you bought a computer and shoes and whatever. They just care about the total amount. So you'll see right here, it says investment tax credit, income or estimated credit earned is $229. Your job training, qualified investment, how much you earned, and the total at the very bottom. So this is how the state will get that form. Any questions? Really briefly, enterprise zone contribution projects, this is the charitable stuff. So the donor tax credits for contributions made to state-approved projects. And there are like some 29 in our Region 9 area. Yes.
Real quickly,
Uh-huh.
so once you enroll for this and then you're approved to it,
Mhm.
can you file for 23 last year?
No.
This is gonna be this point forward,
Mhm.
okay.
Yep, you have to pre-certify before earning those tax credits. So basically, the reason for that is, Region 9 has to say, yes, True West is here in Cortez, yes. So you can't be, maybe you were doing business in a different location and then you moved there in 2023, December 31st, 2023. They wanna make sure that everything going forward, yeah. Yeah, and anything you, just to remind you, if you are not pre-certified yet, but you pre-certify today, anything you bought before March, whatever day it is, 13, doesn't count. So it's only going forward. So these are so back to easy contribution projects. These are donor tax credits for contributions made to state-approved projects. You as a business, if you donate, can claim this tax credit as well. So it's not just for individuals. A business could donate to one of these approved projects and claim that tax credit. You'll get 25 back if you give them cash. You get 12.5% if you say donate in-kind donations. So maybe some really lovely baked goods, or some really lovely, or you do some pro bono sewing for someone, or some pro bono detailing. That would be those in-kind donations. This is a list of all the state-approved easy contribution projects in Montezuma County. And the way they get approved, they have to like petition to Region 9 to be approved. And they have to qualify under one of the regional goals, which Region 9 did send me those regional goals. I can check what those are. I think one has to do with healthcare, which is why Access is up there. I think one has to do with preserving culture, hence the cultural center and the Heritage Museum. Yeah.
I see that Habitat for Humanity is up there, so they take donations. What if you're donating, not necessarily a gift, more than like supplies that are left over from when we're doing your construction? Would that be considered?
Yeah, that counts as in-kind donations. Make sure that you get a form from them. So, yeah, so the important part of these is like, yeah, so say you take a bunch of stuff to Habitat for Humanity. Say, hey, I would like to take advantage of the enterprise zone tax credit. They should know what you're talking about, or be able to get someone that knows what you're talking about. They will give you a form, and then you hold on to that and turn it in with your tax forms. So same thing, if you decide at the end of the year to donate to the Mancos Common Press, you give them $500, and make sure they give you that form that says, hey, this person donated $500 towards that easy project.
And it's only these 11 people? Like, what if you sponsored a baseball team?
Yeah, so that might count on your bad at taxes, but right, if you sponsor a baseball team on your personal individual income tax, that can count, right? You can add those, but it's only if it's that itemized deduction, right?
Right.
Right, so no, it won't count towards the enterprise zone projects,
Even though they're like a nonprofit?
even though they're a nonprofit.
Okay.
Yeah. You could tell the baseball team to petition them to become one of the projects. I don't know how that works though.
Sounds like a lot of work.
It sounds like
Yeah, you got a lot.
Yeah, you got a lot going on. Yeah, and these are usually people like Crow Canyon, for instance. I know that they like registered for an enterprise zone project when they were like really trying to raise a lot of money. Becoming one of these has that potential to raise a lot of money from particularly richer people in our area, or who love our area, who donate to these initiatives. So yeah. But if the baseball team wanted to, I don't see why they couldn't try. Again, it has to follow the goals. Yeah, put it on the list of things to do. Yeah, so then this is just contact information. You can reach out to the state. I'm not sure I would recommend reaching out to Mr. Sheehan right away. I'm sure they're very busy, but myself or Terry Blair Burton from Region 9 would be more than happy to answer questions. Terry's much better than I am at saying, I'm not a tax accountant, I can't tell you. But yeah, she's wonderful and very, very helpful and can help you walk through the process. Yeah,
And, do we need to call to make an appointment with you to do it?
no, you can do it on your own. I'm just here if you need help.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, I think to pre-certify my business, it took me 10 minutes. Like it was pretty simple.
I have a question about
Yeah,
enterprise zone. Okay, say for instance, it's a national company worth millions and billions of dollars who are going to set up, say for instance, a Dollar General or something like that within the enterprise zone. Are they,
yes, that
They can
business
get-
location, every business located in the enterprise zone can qualify for enterprise zone tax credits.
okay, so even if their headquarters are in a different state or anything?
So any business that is done outside of the enterprise zone doesn't count. So, but any business, so say they hire 5 new employees who live here in Montezuma County, that would count towards that new employee tax credit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So another example, on the investment tax credit, you might have seen oil pipelines. So oil pipelines go through Montezuma County. If the pipeline is in an enterprise zone, that section of the pipeline can count, but not the rest of the pipeline. So anything that's in the enterprise zone can count. Again, the business has to have a location here. So for example, I just spoke with someone from Shaw Solar in Durango. Shaw Solar is based in Durango, their location is in Durango, they might service Montezuma, but I don't think that solar company can claim enterprise zone tax credits because that business location is not in the enterprise zone. So Min, say you cater a party in Durango that's not in the enterprise zone, your business location is still here in Colorado or Cortez, I guess in Colorado, but your business location is in Cortez, so you still qualify for enterprise zone tax credits, but you're doing business somewhere else. Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There has to be the physical address there, and then you can do this.
Physical address, yes. So these national companies, they have they're that one location,
Yeah.
not the whole business.
Yeah, so it's like the franchise of McDonald's here, and
Yeah.
it's getting.
Yep, they could count. Good question. Any other questions online or otherwise? And this is why I wanted to bring this. Please share the love. Yeah, McDonald's probably makes hundreds of thousands of dollars off of the enterprise zone tax credits. You guys could save thousands. For us as small business owners, that's huge, right? So and I think a lot of our bigger businesses, Walmart, McDonald's, Dollar, I think they're taking advantage of this, which is great. It's there for them. I want you guys to have access to it too.
I know we were talking about like if our company is based here, but we are hiring someone that lives in California to do our workout.
Yeah, I just got that same question here. So
that-
virtual, that is a great question. I don't know the answer to that. Let me ask that, because that's a really good question. If your business is based here in Montezuma, it's servicing our community, but you need to hire an expert from somewhere else and they're working virtually. That's a great question. I will try to find out and let you guys know.
That's remote working.
Yeah, which we know remote work is here to stay. Like it's not gonna be the end all be all for everything, but it's here. Other questions? All right, well, goodbye to my folks online. I'm gonna close the Zoom. You can always reach out to me if you need. All right. Cool, got you out of here before. And I don't know how to close anything. Before 2.
Thank you, Helen.
Yeah, thank you.